Yeah, we're talking about first-time home buyers, and as you said, let's start off because I think right away people think, "Oh, a first-time home buyer, like I've never bought a home before." But in the world of mortgages, it's a little different, isn't it? So, what's a first-time home buyer?
Yeah, and just for the benefit of everyone watching, the reason we're talking about this is I mentioned to Jeff that I had some folks referred to me to find out more about the mortgage process or contemplating buying a home, and they're first-time home buyers. And so we scheduled a call, and they asked a lot of questions, and I ended up spending, I think, 30 or 40 minutes on the phone with them and covering basically the whole aspect of being a first-time home buyer, what the process is like, and so forth. And so that's why I thought it'd be good to talk about it today, just for the sake of everyone, even those who've gotten a mortgage before. Sometimes this is, a good reminder, a good refresher as to the whole, process at a, higher level. But yeah, first-time home buyer. Let me comment on that because, I think there's some kind of, it's a little murky, maybe a little bit of confusion, just what that means. The inclination would be to think, well, if I'm a first-time home buyer, that means I've never owned a home. Well, that's true, but in the mortgage world, that's not what we mean. In the mortgage world, in most cases, and this is true whether we're talking, conventional loans, even the government-insured guaranteed loans. The first-time home buyer is someone who simply has not owned a home in the last 3 years. So you could have owned a home 10 years ago, and maybe you sold it 5 years ago, and for whatever reason, you're renting now. You can go out and buy a home now and finance it, and you would be considered and treated as a first-time home buyer.
So let me ask you a question, Art. So you're saying, let's say, for instance, I got married at a young age, and we bought a home, and then for unknown reasons, we got a divorce. And in that divorce, we both became renters. And then 3 years later, I get remarried. And now if I go to qualify for a loan, if my new spouse is not already a homeowner, we're a first-time home buyer?
Yeah.
Wow, it's interesting. And what's the theory behind that?
Well, I can't say that I know because I wasn't around. I wasn't part of the discussion to establish that. But, I think that is a definition that I think was formulated by the two agencies. I always like to say quasi-federal agencies, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, as well as state agencies who offer certain programs like here in California, the California Housing Finance Agency. So that has evolved into being the standard definition for a first-time home buyer. And then, of course, that once we established that, and I think part of the reason that these folks that I talked to yesterday, we ended up talking about this in particular was, basically the idea of, okay, I'm happy to know I'm a first-time home buyer. So what do I get? In other words, doesn't this entitle me? Am I not entitled for some additional benefits as a home buyer and as someone who needs to borrow money for a mortgage? Do I get some benefit from being in that particular status?